So I am going to go ahead and just start the recording. There's Miss Andy. Oh, it's so good to see your face again. She was just with me on retreat. There's Melissa and Tara and Lisa. So good to see you, Lisa, and Miss Sarah and Nicole and Emily. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's so fun. Amy and Deirdre and Nadia. We've got new people. We've got people that are inside of our programs. We've got people that I haven't met before yet. I'm so, so glad that you guys are here. I am just going to make sure that I've got my workbook up on the screen so that I can share it with you guys. So as people are popping in here, do me a favor, and if you guys could just type something in the chat because we need to make sure that we know that you are actually here live so that we can send you the goodies. So if you'll just type something like, "Hi, Chris," or "Send me the money," I don't know, like wherever you're from, whatever you want, like uh, that would be great because that is how we are going to be able to keep track of who's here live so that we can make sure that we get you all the goodies. So let me just make sure that I can find my, there we go. I want to make sure that I've got the right updated blueprint for you guys. And there we go. We've got it. All right. So we're going to just pop right in. It's 4:02. We will let people come in. There's Gloria. Let's go ahead and let her in. And we're going to just dive right in. So for those of you that don't know me, hi, Mary. Hi, Gloria. Welcome. My name is Chris Williams, and I am a soulful business and leadership coach for women who are growing holistic businesses. So if you are a health coach, a life coach, a mindset coach, a spiritual coach, a nutritionist, or a functional nutritionist, an energy worker, if you are here to change people's lives with your services, then you're in the right place. And I am so excited to give you this training because one of the things that I did when I was starting, and this, by the way, this training and today is not going to be about me, but I do want to give you a little bit of behind the scenes reference so that you know that you can actually trust the information that I'm sharing with you. Because one of the things that we see in the market today is that there is what we call a trust recession happening out there. Anybody can say that they are anything, do anything, and we're really just not sure who to believe, right? I even opened up my email this weekend or my Facebook feed, and I'm like, what? So and so's a business coach now. I'm like, I know they're not making money in their business because they reached out to me to help them. And I'm like, how can they help somebody else in their business if they themselves are not making money in their business, right? So we really are in this trust recession. And so I want to make sure that you guys feel confident and trusting and safe with the information that you're getting from me because I am not a newbie coach. I have got over 30 years as a wellness entrepreneur, from being a yoga and a meditation teacher, having my own massage therapy practice back in 1993, starting in 2012 after going through a divorce. I have, started and built things up from scratch. So literally starting from $25 in my bank account, nothing, having to decide what it was that I was going to do after being married for 17 years, to creating over $2.5 million in my business. So I know what's working and I know what's working now, which is even more important, right? Because guess what? What worked last year and the year before and in 2015 and in 2018 does not work today. And the reason why is because markets shift and markets change, and we can take a look at that and know, think about, heck, when I was raising my babies, we didn't even have iPhones. Like, I thought it was really cool that I got this like headset that I could plug into a phone and like actually walk around. And it was crazy, right? So technology is changing really, really fast. And you can probably remember back in the day where, you know, newspapers were the big thing, or direct marketing was the big thing, and then radio advertising was the big thing, right? And it wasn't until, we, came into the digital age that it turned into more of a sales market. And then it turned more into a marketing market. And today, we're actually not even in a marketing market anymore. We're actually in a relationship driven market right now. So if you're unsure about what that means, I'm going to share, what that means today because you need to understand that because it is going to be the difference between you having a lucrative business or closing down your business, which is what we see many, many people, many, in the industry doing. Even people who have been in business for a while are either closing down their doors or they are reinventing themselves or burning things down and restarting again. And the truth is, you don't really need to do that. Okay. Like, there's no need to burn the ships. There really isn't. But you do need to make some pivots and some tweaks if you are in business. And if you're unsure about what those pivots or tweaks are, then definitely make sure that you've booked your growth audit with me. Remember, that is not a sales call. I am not going to pitch you anything. That is simply for me to hear what's going on. What are you doing? So that I can actually help you understand what are the main pieces that you want to start taking action on in this trust recession so that you can start doing what is the most important, right? And the truth is that there's about 20% of the actions that we take every day in our business that create about 80% of the results, right? Many of you have heard about the Pareto principle, same thing with time, and that's really true. And so over the course of the next 5 days, I'm going to be sharing with you what is that 20%, what you guys can focus on doing that is going to be simple and practical. I'm not just going to spout a whole bunch of information. Like, you are going to be able to take this away and actually implement it, right? We have to implement. Like, just listening to me talk isn't going to do anything for your business, right? You're actually going to have to take the information and start to implement it. But that is what this training is. And my intention, just so that you know, my intention is that you get more value out of the next 5 days than any program that you've paid for. I want you to have more value out of the next 5 days than a course that you've downloaded or, maybe something else that you've paid for. Because I really want you to know that what it is that I'm sharing with you is going to help you. I want you to have wins here. I want you to start creating some momentum and start feeling that you can actually do this and you can create success in your business. Okay. So, how does that sound? If that sounds good to you, go ahead and give me a high five, pop a heart, something like, let me know that you're all in, give me a thumbs up. Awesome. 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 Great. So we're going to dive in today. But again, the difference in the market here that we know is that people are lacking a sense of trust in. And so what does that mean? It doesn't mean that people aren't buying. So let me just preface that. If you're like, well, if they don't trust, then they're probably not buying. No, that's actually not true. As a matter of fact, my business and the clients that work with me are enrolling clients. And it's because they know what to focus on that actually builds trust, that actually creates safety with people, because people will not buy from you if they don't feel safe. People will not want to work with you if they don't trust you, right? And so there are some things that you may have been taught in any of your programs, whether it's a coaching program in health coaching, life coaching, nutrition. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't learn how to monetize my certifications, right? I got a functional nutrition certification. They didn't teach me how to monetize that, how to start a business, how to get clients. I had a health coach, life coach, mastery transformational coach. And with some of those programs that did teach me things back in 2015 they were actually outdated back in 2015. And so they are really, really outdated today. So I'm going to teach you exactly what not to focus on. Like, if you're doing this, you can actually stop, which should feel really, really good. So we're going to dive in. Hi, Miss Deirdre. And we are going to get going. So I love to share my screen. I don't do slides. I'm not a slide person. I like workbooks. And so today what we're going to do is I'm pulling back the curtain to show you exactly what's working right now to grow your six-figure coaching business. And the good news is that you don't need to hustle. You don't need complicated funnels. You don't have to sacrifice or trade your integrity. You don't have to be something that you are not. One of the key things, one of the 3 core areas to focus on is actually going to be more of you. People are actually wanting to see more of you as a real person, not as somebody who is claiming to, be something that they're not. We're going to talk about what's not working and where you can stop wasting your energy. And I'm also going to share with you the 5 simple pillars of a multiple 6-figure business that you can even use to 6 figures and 7 figures as well. So this is not going to be about chasing trends. My tongue's not working. This is not about chasing trends. And I want to also share with you what's the difference between a strategy and a trend, right? There's a big difference between a strategy and a trend or a tactic, right? Many people start chasing tactics like, lip syncing on Instagram used to be a big thing, right? Where you would put something on and then you would just like, you would see people lip syncing to it. That's a tactic. That's not actually a strategy. A tactic is also posting on social media. Do we want to do it? Yes, but it's not a strategy. It's a tactic. And so I really want you to understand, where do some of the tactics that you're focusing on, which ones that are important to keep doing, but where they go in the bigger strategy that is going to help you build and grow your business, and which ones you just don't even want to waste your time with anymore. Okay, because the market definitely is changing. So I'm just going to scroll past here. By the way, this is the same workbook that you guys have. And so if you need your workbook, or if you don't have your workbook, first things is check your email, because we send reminder emails with the workbook every single day. And so when you registered for this training, you got access to the link for the workbook. And then we also sent an email reminder this morning. And then we sent one an hour before today with the link as well. So it should be waiting for you in your email. So let's just start first. We need to kind of know where we are on this pathway to six figures and multiple six figures. By the way, I'm a specialist in helping you build a business, a boutique business. What's a boutique business? It's not like a studio. It's not like a boutique clothing shop. A boutique business is a business that creates an income of anywhere between six figures and $500,000. We call that a boutique business, because what that means is that it is accessible for you to build and grow your business with a very slim to none team. You don't need a team in order to do that. You might need, as you start getting closer to the $500,000 mark, you might want to start hiring on a VA to help you, and, someone to schedule emails for you and things like that. But I am not a specialist in you building out an empire, which is typically seven figures and above. Okay. Now, what I teach you can actually help you get there. But once you hit $500,000, things start to shift and change a little bit. You need to bring on more team, and you need to make sure that you're scaling properly. And while I absolutely do that for myself and my own business, I actually prefer to work with women who are just starting. So maybe you've just started and you're here and you're feeling kind of invisible. You're just starting out. You've got the certifications, you've got the passion, but you've got little to no clients and you're really not sure what to do. Right. So if that's you, I want you to just go ahead in the chat, because I'd love to get a good reading about where everybody is, and just pop invisible in there. You might actually feel invisible. It's like, oh my God, I got a client and I'm not sure how that happened. Like, it just felt like dumb luck. Anybody been there before? When I first started, I'm like, oh my God, I got a client. Yay. Now how do I do that again? Like, oh my God. Um, so if you feel that you're in that $0 to $25,000 a year range, you're really in that invisible range yet. And so just pop invisible in the chat if that's you. The next stage is emerging. So you're getting some visibility. You're probably making, $2,000 a month, maybe a little bit more. Again, the 25K to 80K a year. You're getting some visibility. You're getting a handful of clients. You're starting to feel good. You're starting to like, okay, I think I can really do this, but you're actually undercharging for your services. Okay. And this is something that I see that's really common in this area. And so this is where we want to really start working on your mindset, start increasing your prices, make sure that you are at a place where we can actually help you to start scaling. Because what ends up happening is that if you're undercharging, and you especially are working with just one-on-one clients, you're going to hit a ceiling. You're going to hit a ceiling where you can't possibly take on any more one-on-one clients without burning out. Right. I was actually there back in 2019. I sold out in November of 2019, my entire one-on-one spots that I had for 2020. Like, there was nothing left. And I had to I had to scale and I had to figure out, okay, like I've got no more one-on-one spots left. Like I'm a mom, I've got 3 kids, I've got 3 boys. I want to make sure that I'm present for them, right? And so this is where we want to make sure that you are not undercharging for your services. So we're actually going to help you over the course of the next 5 days understand what to actually what's market rate for charging for some of your services too. So we're going to answer your questions about that. So if you feel that you're in this area emerging, where you know that you're probably undercharging, but you're like, you know what, I feel like I just need to kind of charge this now because I just need to make the income in my business, then go ahead and pop emerging in the chat for me. The next stage is you're magnetizing. You're actually getting clients. You're building a community, but you might be lacking consistent clients. What we see here is that some months you might be like, whoa, yay, I did it. I had a 10K month. But other months, it's like feast or famine. It's kind of like a roller coaster, right? Some months are great, some months are not. What you need is predictability. And that's really what I teach my clients inside of Activate Abundance Academy is predictability. We want a sustainable and a predictable business, right? We want to know that we can rely on consistent clients and consistent income. So if you are at that 80K to 150K range and you feel that you need some predictability so that those 10K months can be consistent, pop magnetizing in the chat for me. And then the last phase here is mastery. You're finally having those consistent 10K months and you're ready to start scaling. And at this place, we actually need to come back to our ideal client, make sure that your offer suite is dialed in with the right high-end, mid-end, low-tier offer. And we need to make sure that you're getting visible enough. Now, here's the cool thing though, you guys, and I want you to know that you do not need a large email list in order to hit 6 figures. You do not need a large Facebook group in order to hit 6 figures. I shared with you earlier that I've created over $2.5 million in my business, and my Facebook group only has about 1,500 people in it. And I had probably around 1,000 people in my email list or under when I hit my first 6 figures. So the strategy that I'm going to teach you that is based on relationships and it's based on creating know, like, trust with people before we ask them to buy, it actually works really well for those of you who are at the place where you're like, but I don't have a big group, but I don't have a big list. That's totally fine. You don't need one. You don't need one. It's more important that you are actually speaking to the right client and that you've got quality people in your either in your email list or in your Facebook group than anything else. You also are not going to have to build out fancy funnels to do this. You do not need to invest in Facebook ads or Google ads or anything like that. By the way, unless you're at $500,000 in your business a year, you should not be investing in ads. So if you're investing in ads right now and you're not there yet, take it off your plate. Because what we really want to do is build a business organically. And the reason why we want to build it organically is because an ad will not fix a sales problem. An ad will not fix a sales problem. You have to be able to enroll consistent clients organically before an ad will actually start bringing in more of your most ideal clients. And so we need to get that working first so that we know that your messaging and your content and the ways that you're visible and where you're visible is actually where your ideal client is before you start, throwing money at ads thinking that that is going to fix the problem. It's not. It won't. So I hope that's actually good news for you, that you don't need a big list, you don't need a big group, you don't need to invest in crazy fancy funnels. You also don't need branding photos, you don't need a website, like you don't need all that stuff that actually takes cash out of your business. Where you are right now, you need to bring cash into your business first. So we need revenue first, and then we can start taking a look for the other places where we will start sharing, where we can start investing. Okay, sound good? Pop yes in the chat if that feels like it gives you a little bit of relief, because I know that there's a lot of noise out there. I know that there's people and ads out there that are saying, oh, you got to do Facebook ads, or you got to do these fancy funnels, you got to do all of these XYZ things. And really, it feels overwhelming with the just sheer amount of information out there for how to build and grow a business sometimes, right? Yeah, I know it was for me. So I want to really help you cut through the noise. And this is what we're going to focus on in what is actually moving the needle in the coaching industry right now. We're not going to, again, talk about outdated tactics, cookie cutter strategies that worked years ago. We're going to gain clarity so that you know where to focus and what's truly aligned with today's market demands. This is really important. We want to make sure that what we are doing is actually aligned with the way that we see people's buying behaviors. Okay. So what's working now? What's working now? What's working now, which is actually kind of funny because it actually was working for me when I was building and growing my business, is actually focusing on building and cultivating trust and relationships with people. Okay. So, what that means is that before we ask anybody to work with us, we have to have a process of bringing the right client into our ecosystem. I call this talking chocolate. Those of you that are inside of Activate Abundance or Holistic Business Foundations, you know, we talk about chocolate all the time. What's working now is to uncover what is the problem that our ideal client is having right now in today, right? And the truth is that even if we think that we know what our ideal client is struggling with, we might not be using her words. We might actually be talking broccoli and she's talking chocolate. And what I mean by that is we're basically telling her what it is that she needs, right? Because we're coaches and we're nutritionists and we know what it is that they need to solve their problem, but they're not asking for that. They're not asking for that. They're asking for chocolate. And we're going, yeah, and you need the broccoli. And they're like, yeah, I don't want broccoli, right? And so what ends up happening is that there's a miss, right? So what's working now is that number one, we're visible, right? We need to be in front of people. We need to be visible so that they can find us, right? Especially in a digital world. And there's multiple ways that you can do that. Doesn't mean that you need to dance on TikTok at all. I'm not even on TikTok. I don't even have a TikTok account. You will not see me dancing on Instagram. You will not see me lip syncing, I promise. What I love to do is actually give value. And that is the next thing. Once we know what our ideal client is struggling with and the chocolate that she's asking for, right? Then we want to lead with value. We want to lead with heart. We want to lead with helping people create wins first. Helping people create wins first. Now, some of you went through the same coaching school that I did and were taught and are currently being taught that the way that you get clients is actually to go and book a whole bunch of discovery sessions and try to create rapport in that 1 hour of free coaching. And then you were selling them into a 90-day program. So, what I want to say about that is that there's nothing wrong with discovery sessions when they are done at the right time. But what we know in the market is that a discovery session is not the first place that you are going to be giving value to your ideal client. Okay, you do not want to try to convince anybody to work with you in a 1 hour session because they're going to say no. They're going to say no. Why? Because there is not enough touch points to actually create that trust. Here's what else we know. It takes 20 to 40 touches with somebody before they will be a yes. It takes 11 hours of interaction with somebody before they feel safe and trusting with you. So if you're trying to convince or sell your thing in a 1 hour free discovery session, do you got 20 to 40 touches there? Nope. Do you got 11 hours of engagement there? Nope. So it is going to be, you're going to hear a lot. Several things are going to happen. You're either going to get ghosted. They're not going to show up for it because they don't understand the value. You're going to attract the wrong client because you're just trying to book a call and give away a free coaching session to sell your thing. It's going to feel out of alignment and out of integrity for many of you because you're actually leading with something free, but really where your energy is how do I get a client and how do I get them to say yes, which is actually, you've already lost the game at that point because you're in scarcity. You're like, how do I get the client? How do I close the deal? Right? That's not abundance. So we want to lead with value first. And we want to focus on the right area. So we want to know who our ideal client is, what's working, what is the problem, and we want to lead with value. We want to focus the 3 areas that you're going to focus on is going to be number 1 is going to be visible. We have to be visible in front of our ideal client in order for her to find us. Have to do that, right? And so in order to do that, we need to know who our ideal client is. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, because once we know who she is specifically, and I'm not talking about niche or niche or however you want to say it, I don't even care about that. What I care about is who is the client that you are excited and lit up to serve, and what your services are going to help them with. Okay, so we need to be visible, number one. Number two, what is going to make a difference is you actually showing up authentically, not just showing up, not just posting, but showing up authentically as you and sharing different pieces and stories of you. That's actually your unique brilliance, is what is it about you that people can actually see and connect with and trust, right? We don't work with people if we don't think and we don't resonate with them and feel like we actually want to work with them. So, in order to do that, they need to see you. They need to know that you hear them, that you've got them, and that you're already starting to help them to create some wins. And number three is going to be consistency. You want to be consistent over a period of time. Okay. So, what we have seen currently in the market right now is that people are discerning. They are going to vet people a lot longer because they've been burned. And some of you may have been burned you in the past, right? I don't know about you, but I've made some buying decisions that haven't worked out. And so it's makes me a little discerning. I want to vet the person. I want to see what they're doing. I want to see if I resonate with them. Do I want to learn what it is that they're teaching? Right? So the timeline on average is about 6 to 12 months before somebody is working with you. Now, in my programs and in my business, we actually collapse that timeline to about 3 to 4 months. But in order to do that, we have to show up consistently, and we have to lead with value, and we have to create connections and relationships. So a relational driven market is really what we're in right now, which is actually really good news because you guys are all heart-centered entrepreneurs, and the bro marketing way of doing things that does not work anymore today is actually never worked for us in the first place because it didn't feel good for us, right? Can I get an amen? Anybody else feel like, oh my God, I don't want to have to overcome anybody's objection? What do I say if they say they can't afford it? Like that just feels awful. It just, ugh. Like I literally would cross my fingers and kind of hope that nobody would show up for a discovery session when I first started my business. I really did. How crazy, right? Like I want a client, but I'm like, oh God, please don't show up because I don't know what to say if they say I can't afford it, right? Well, the good news is that when you are implementing what it is that I teach you, by the time they get on a call with you, they already trust you. They already like you. And so, while that doesn't mean that they're going to be 100% yes, what it does mean is that you don't have to try to convince or persuade them. What you get to do is help them make an empowered decision, and you're going to get a whole lot more yeses on those calls because they already know you, like you, trust you. They already know what it is that you're doing, and they're on that call for a reason. They're actually on that call so that they can learn more about how they can work with you. So, how does that sound? I'm going to stop the share just for a minute. Doesn't that sound like a much more relaxed, calm, confident way of building and growing your business instead of trying to manipulate or trick or drag somebody across the finish line, right? And trying to convince or persuade them that they need you and they need to buy your thing? Yeah, that never worked for me. So this is why this is really really important, because this is going to be the difference maker for you in your business, and it's going to feel so much better. It's going to feel so much more fun because you're not going to be in the energy of scarcity, right? That energy of scarcity is I gotta close the deal. Right. As a matter of fact, I was actually taught that our sessions were close the deal sessions. You know, this bro way of ABC, I'll always be closing. My husband, by the way, is in sales, and he actually sells mattresses of all things. He works for Tempur-Pedic and Sealy Mattress. And whenever I'm on a call, he's like, ABC, baby. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, no, No, I am not going to drag anybody across the finish line. I am not here to convince or persuade anybody that they need me. I am here to help them make an empowered choice. And if they're a yes, amazing. And if they're a no, amazing. It is actually good for both sides because if somebody's a no, I want them to feel really, really good and empowered that that no is important for them, right? And if it's yes, great, let's go. But I know that if I have to convince or persuade you to be a yes, I'm going to be dragging your butt the whole way through the program, and I'm a no for that. I'm a no for that. Okay. So this should feel like a relief that you don't need to try to convince or persuade anybody. Do you need to market? Absolutely. But marketing, while it seems a little bit scary when we're first building and growing our business, is actually not a bad word. It's just getting in front of people, sharing what it is that you do. That's all marketing is. And when we do that consistently over a period of time, then the sales actually becomes a side effect. And this is important. Sales become a side effect of the value and the connection and the relationships that we're building. Okay. So that's a little bit, actually, it's probably a lot different than what you were taught, right? Anybody taught something else or not taught anything at all? I know I was taught a very outdated way, which is, yeah, just, try to book all of these, discovery sessions with strangers and just, sell your thing. Okay. So in 2020, or I think that was when we hit COVID. Am I right with my dates there? I don't even remember anymore. Right. Okay. So in COVID, what we saw was that there was also an influx of cash. Right. Anybody here get like a cash, infusion from the government who lives in the US? Right? A lot of people got an influx of cash, right? And they were stuck online, right? So there was a lot of people in the Zoom rooms. There was a lot of people showing up and it was actually a lot easier to enroll clients online back then. And it's a lot difficult, a lot harder today because a lot of people that invested money, again, were investing money with people that didn't know what the heck they were doing. Okay. They were just going online because they thought that that was the thing to do. And they were saying that they were business coaches and they weren't actually knowing exactly what it is that they were doing. So the good news is that while people are a little bit more discerning, you're going to be able to show up in a way that creates that know, like, trust very, very quickly. You're going to be able to collapse that timeline so that it's not going to take a year or even 6 months before somebody is a yes with you. You're going to know exactly what to do to move them along the client pathway that is going to help them be a yes a lot quicker in a way that feels really good, that feels really good. And when I say in alignment, that's really important. We get to do this in a way that feels good for us. And there's a lot of different ways that we get to do this. And I'm going to share with you multiple ways that you can market very authentically and real so that sales become a side effect of the relationships that you build. Okay. All right. Let me pop back into my workbook. So, what do we want to stop doing? What do we want to stop doing? First of all, we want to stop making premature invitations to work with us. Okay. We need to make sure that we are connecting with people as real people first and not expecting that if, making a Facebook post and saying, hey, DM me if you want the details. How many of you are posting and are like, but why aren't people DMing me and they want to work with me? Anybody? Anybody feel like, oh my gosh, I'm posting and nobody is actually responding or nobody is actually buying from the posting? Right. So we're not going to stop posting, but what I want you to do is I want you to see that posting is a tactic in a larger strategy. Posting is going to help you get eyeballs and it's going to help people self-identify and raise their hand to let them know that they are your ideal client. We're going to dive deeper into that on day 3 on attracting our ideal client. Okay. But so we want to show up, but we want to know that that is part of a overarching strategy. And that is only step 1 of this of a 3-step strategy. And what we're going to dive into deeper later is not only are we going to attract the right clients into our ecosystem, but then we're going to nurture them before we ask them to buy. Okay, we're going to nurture them before we ask them to buy. Okay. So many of you are either making premature marriage proposals to your clients or you're not making enough. It's one of the two. If you are not making income in your business right now, chances are you're doing one of those two things, or it maybe even both, right? Maybe you're getting no's. And so you're like, oh, I'm afraid to make the offer, right? Or you're making offers too soon and you're getting a no because there hasn't been enough trust created there. Okay. So we want to stop making premature marriage proposals. Okay. The other things that we get to stop doing is actually hiding. We actually have to stop hiding just behind our screen, right? We actually have to engage. And one of the things that I see happening a lot is I was actually at a champagne dinner this past week for female founders that were building 7 and 8 figure businesses. And I was talking to a lady next to me, and she's like, oh, God, I hate the algorithm. And I'm like, really? Actually, the algorithm works for you. I'm like, I don't have a problem with the algorithm. Like, it's not the algorithm. So, first of all, we have to stop blaming the algorithm, right? We have to stop saying that, oh my gosh, it's the algorithm that doesn't work for you. Well, that's actually not true. The algorithm responds to what it is and who you're connecting and relating with, right? So stop blaming the algorithm for, you not actually creating relationships with people. Okay, we want to start connecting with people. We want to start actually using social media for what it's for, which is being social and creating relationships. Okay. And I'm going to share more about how you can do that as we go. How do we actually create those relationships? What are the things that we want to do so that it feels fun and it doesn't feel slimy or salesy? Right. The other thing that we want to stop doing, in addition to just hiding behind our screen, is we want to stop blaming, again, the outside circumstances, right? The truth is, you are responsible 100% for your results, right? You're not responsible for circumstances that are happening. Like, I can't be responsible for the weather, right? But we also can't be responsible for somebody else saying yes or no. And we tend to take that to heart, right? Because we are big heart-centered leaders and we're afraid that somebody's going to say no, right? And what we do is we make that personal. So we want to stop making a no personal. It's not personal at all. If somebody says not right now, or if somebody says no, that doesn't mean that they don't like you. It just means that they're not ready to take that next step into their own transformation. That's all it means, right? So we want to make sure that we are showing up and we want to make sure that we are giving value, right? Being visible consistently, not hiding just behind our screen, right? And we want to make sure that we are actually not taking things personal, because the personal is going to actually have us in fear and doubt and in scarcity. And then the other thing that we want to stop doing is be in this scarcity place, right? The energy that we are in really, really matters. The energy that we are in really, really matters. So if you are in the energy of how do I get a client today, you are in the energy of scarcity. You don't have a client and you feel like you don't have a client and you're nervous or you're worried because you've got bills to pay, right? And so you're in the energy of I have to get this client. Here's the thing I want you to remember about that. It's not your client's crisis, right? She's not having a crisis. You are when we're in that energy, right? When we're like, oh my God, I got to pay the bills, right? And all of a sudden we're making our problem like they have to say, no, that feels wonky to them, right? Anybody been on the other side of a sales call where you felt pressured? Right. So we don't want to be in that energy. We want to stop being in that energy. And instead, we want to be in the energy when we are in the energy of service, when we are in the energy of abundance, that, you know what? I just get to help somebody make an empowered decision. I don't need a client. I get to support somebody with value and I get to make an invitation so that they can get what it is that they need. That's an energy of abundance. That's an energy of abundance. And when we are giving value and leading with our heart and in the energy of abundance, Again, the sales and the people come to us in ways that we don't even realize, which is pretty crazy, right? We start showing up, we start giving value, and all of a sudden we start getting an email, or we start getting a referral, or an old client comes back in, or the people that said no last time are actually ready to go, right? There are multiple ways, and there are so many more clients than you can possibly handle. And when you're in that energy, guess what energy you are also in? Anybody guess that when you are in the energy of abundance, what is coming through? Oh, and Andy, I couldn't hear you. I can see you, but I can't hear you.
Abundance in money.
Abundance, yeah. And when you're in the energy of confidence, that feeds, that actually creates trust with people, right? So we want to move out of this crazy energy of I got to get a client today, and in the energy of confidence, because you have to be confident in you first in order for that transfer of trust to happen with the people that you're here to serve. If you're not confident in yourself and in your abilities, they're not going to get that feeling that you're confident about helping them get the result that they want, right? So, we're going to talk more about aligning with the energy that we want to be in tomorrow, because that's the key. When we start from the energy of abundance, when we are in that confidence, when we are claiming our confidence as empowered leaders and healers that are meant to do big work here, that is going to allow us to show up when we are visible, or when we are creating an email, or when we are writing a Facebook post from a very, very different energy than, oh my God, what am I going to say to get a yes? Right? Okay. So let's talk about the abundance formula. And this is what I teach everybody inside of both my Holistic Business Foundations program as well as Activate Abundance Academy. Abundance, when we talk about abundance, like it's, when I named my program Activate Abundance, and my website, and my book, The Soulful Abundance System, it wasn't so much now it's like a buzzword, right? Everybody talks about abundance now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I didn't. Wish I had named it now, because everybody's using abundance. Everybody's an abundance manifestor generator, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh. But let's get down to the nitty gritty. What really is abundance? Abundance is actually more than just wealth. Okay. We're not just talking about, give me the money, right? Money is great, but abundance is a little bit different. Abundance is the money, but it's also the joy and the freedom that we get to have. Okay. So when we think about abundance, we can think about time abundance, which is freedom. We can think about money abundance, which is giving us more choice. Okay. And we can also think about joy. Like, what do we get to do that brings us joy? And it doesn't have to be working on our business all the time. Okay. It gets to be a balance. I do not want any of you trading your integrity for sales, or trading your well being for sales either. Because guess what? You're going to get to $500,000. And if you are burned out and cranky and your marriage is falling apart, it's not going to be worth it. Okay. So we get to keep that intact. We get to keep that intact. So abundance is more than just wealth, it's a combination. Okay. The soulful abundance system that I teach, that again, I wrote a book about, and I actually teach inside of the Activate Abundance Academy, it's designed to create relationships. It's designed to create relationships. Relationships, and you guys might actually see this. How many of you are like craving real relationships? Not just like surface level. Yeah. Andy, she just came to our retreat. She's like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed. Like real people, real relationships, right? We get to just be real. None of us are perfect. We get to be real. We get to be vulnerable, right? The Soulful Abundance System is designed to help you create the relationships. Its design number two is to serve, lead with your heart and serve, rather than being in that selling mode the whole time, right? Like, the important thing to remember, we're going to talk more about this when we get to sales, is that we do not want to be in client acquisition the whole time. If we have a healthy sales system inside of our business, we are actually only in new client acquisition. About 40% of our business actually comes from new clients. but only 40% comes from new clients, which is actually really great because it means that you are cultivating relationships and people that want to continue to work with you, right? And guess what? It is a whole lot easier for somebody who already knows you, likes you, trusts you, and is invested with you for them to say yes again. A whole lot easier for you to do that than it is to expend a lot of energy being in constant client acquisition. So we don't want to do that. Number 3, we want to have a marketing and sales strategy to grow your practice to 6 figures. We need a strategy. We need a strategy. Abundance is the inner game, which is the energy that we are in, right? Are we in abundance? Are we in scarcity? And what are the thoughts and that we are, telling ourselves and the feelings that we're having? Plus the strategy. Okay. When we've got both, that is actually what is going to help us create abundance. When we've got a simple strategy that we can put on repeat, right? Not building out a gazillion different programs or offers, but when we have a simple marketing and sales strategy that we put on repeat, that allows us to grow a sustainable business so that we're not burning out and have predictable income. Number 4, the Soulful Abundance System is designed to create know, like, and trust of you. Again, people will not buy unless they trust you. And people will not buy unless they believe you. And if they don't feel safe and if they don't trust you, they're not going to believe you, right? Remember going back to the trust recession. We've heard a lot of people that are claiming a lot of different things out there. And so it's really important that we are in integrity. We are saying what it is that we mean. We are talking about real results and we're being true to our own sense of ethics and integrity as well. Okay. Number 5, we want to build value and wins for our audience. We want to build value and wins for our audience. It is so much more important for me that somebody walk away with something that they've gotten for free from me and will come back around and say, oh my gosh, that worked. I just signed a client. Like, I'm like, amazing. Like I am doing a happy dance with them, right? That's value, right? I want to give value. We want to build value and help the people that are in our audience create wins before they buy, right? Yeah. And we want to also deliver valuable content that can be repurposed, right? We want this to be sustainable. So we want to deliver valuable content that can be repurposed to give your audience an epiphany, right? So ahas, an epiphany, or insights. Okay, so this is where we talk about education, educational content, right? But we're also delivering this content in a way that can be repurposed. So what does that mean? I could write an email that also turns into a Facebook Live, that turns into a Facebook post, that turns into a YouTube video, that turns into a high value freebie, right? So one piece of content can be repurposed, but it's designed to give your audience epiphanies or ahas to help them create those wins. Okay. So again, we don't need to work harder. We just need to work smarter, right? And this is going to increase enrollments into your paid programs. When people get wins and connect with you and know you and like you and trust you and walk away feeling really, really good, that is going to increase the enrollments into your paid programs because nobody is going to want to say yes if they're not getting value, right? Yeah. And what that does, it turns your audience into followers that stay with you. Stay with you. It turns your audience into followers that stay with you. Yeah, and we want that, right? Even if now is not the time. And by the way, all of you here are welcome to be in my audience, to be in my Facebook group, to come to these master classes as much as you want, to consume the content, whether or not you are a yes or a no. Okay. I just want you to know that it is totally fine with me for you to come and to consume content and not buy. So you can just take that off your shoulders. You don't need to worry about that. Again, I'm not into convincing or persuading anybody. I want you to be in my world for as long as it feels comfortable, for as long as you're getting value from me. And when you're ready, and if you want my support to implement what it is that you're learning, then we'll hop on a conversation. Okay. But you are more than welcome to come and enjoy and take the information that's here. Number 9, you need to know what the needle movers are in your business. The needle movers. There are, again, what's the 20% that creates the 80% of your results? You got to know what that is. If you don't know what that is, then we're actually in the overwhelm. And what we tend to do is we tend to be in what I like to call the information hoarding of information, right? Where we're downloading a whole bunch of freebies and we're popsicle sticking and duct taping things together and we're throwing spaghetti at the walls to see what sticks, right? That's not going to work. We have to know what are the needle movers, what's the 20%, right? And the 20% you're going to learn over the next couple days for sure. And then number 10 is what is this? Oh, we want to actually take breaks so you can create a thriving and a sustainable practice. One of the things that I do, by the way, is I have set up my business to take the last week off almost every month. There's some months where I might do a training. This month I'm actually going on vacation. I'm taking my boys to Yosemite, so I'll be gone from the 16th through the 24th, so you won't be seeing me. Um, and it's really important that you've got that downtime. It's really important. As a matter of fact, the programs and the divine downloads and the things that I've created have come from rest, because when we are constantly going, and what happens is that our nervous system is actually constantly on, and we cannot make good decisions when our nervous system is stressed, when cortisol is on the rise, and when we are in fear or in doubt. Okay. So when we give our bodies and minds a chance to rest, to unplug, what that does is it opens up possibilities. It opens up opportunities. It allows us to dream and to be the visionaries in our business so that we can then action them. Okay. We were not meant to actually do this on our own either. We were meant to be in community. This is really, really important. And one of the levers that I'm going to talk about is there are 2 things that we focus on when we're building our business. One is what are we personally doing, right? What are we doing that are those needle movers, that 20%? And number 2 is who are we connecting with and collaborating with? How are we leveraging other people's audiences? Right? So when we're talking about relationships, we're talking about relationships with people who are coming into our ecosystem, but we're also cultivating relationships with others who are serving our client in a different way. Right? And when I was building and growing my business as a health coach and a functional nutrition coach, that is actually how I built and grew my business, was by collaborating with doctors and practitioners like chiropractors and massage therapists and digestive health associates and those types of people to build and grow my business. We connected and we collaborated. Okay. And by the way, I did not go into this work to be a business coach. Like, full transparency, that was that was not even on my radar. Okay. I got into this work as a wellness entrepreneur. I got into this work as a massage therapist first, and I integrated health coaching and functional nutrition into my practice until I had a shoulder injury. And then I had to start cutting back on my massage therapy practice. But as I built and grew my business, through connecting, through collaborating, I had colleagues who started coming to me and saying, "What are you doing? Teach me what it is that you're doing." And so it wasn't until after I already had a successful business that I actually began business coaching, because people were asking me what I was doing, and I organically morphed into that. Okay. So I'm not a newbie coach that's just saying, you know what, let me do business coaching because that's the only thing that makes money. That's a lie. That's a lie. I've got lots of clients that are making amazing money. As a matter of fact, one of them, last year had her first 40K month. There are a lot, and she's a health coach. So health coaches can make money in this for sure. I created multiple six figures in my business. You can do it too. Okay. So please don't buy into this lie that the only coaches that are making money today are business coaches. That's not true. There are lots of hormone coaches and health coaches and life coaches and spiritual coaches and intuitive coaches and energy coaches or practitioners that are creating the money that they want and also the time freedom that they crave. Okay. All right, the last thing we're going to dive into is the 5 pillars of a successful business. And so when I looked back and I decided to reverse engineer and say, all right, what are the 5 pillars that I grew my business on? Number one was the abundance mindset. Number one was the abundance mindset. Mindset will always come first. I want you to think about, a very strong foundation. Your mindset is going to be the foundation. Why? Because I can give you the strategy. I can say, do this and do this and do this. And if you don't take action on it because you're in your head, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen, right? Many of you probably have information, but you're not implementing the information. And so mindset has to be first because we want to make sure that we're actually implementing. And we want to see the world working for us. And we want to trust in ourselves. We want to have confidence in ourselves. We want to put the practices in place that keep you in the game even when it gets hard, because it will get hard if it hasn't already, right? Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Right? There are going to be times where it feels amazing. We're standing on the top of the mountain. There are going to be other times where we're like, oh my God, why isn't this working? Okay. Mindset is going to create the resilience so that you can still show up and you can leverage the challenges and leverage the obstacles into opportunities instead. And that is the difference between being an empowered leader in your own business and just staying stuck. Okay, so the abundance mindset is number one. Number two is we come from a service first place, always. Serving our clients with value that is also congruent with the solutions and the results that they want is always our number one come from. Always. How can I serve somebody today? Who can I serve today? That's actually what I ask myself. If you guys want to write that down, I swear it changes things for you. I promise it will. If you wake up instead of how do I get a client, if instead you say, gosh, who could I serve today? Then start looking for who starts popping into your world. I guarantee you're going to start seeing ways that you can actually serve people and build relationships. Generosity for me is the cornerstone of building a heart-centered practice. So I like to play the generosity game. I trust that no matter what, the more value that I put out in the world, the more will come back to me. It might not come back in the exact same way. I might give somebody amazing value. They might not be a client that day, but another client might come in or another referral might come in. But it only comes in because of the value and the energy that I'm putting out. Right? So I firmly believe and play the generosity game, not only with potential clients, but also with my partners, with people that I connect with, people that I collaborate with, asking how I could serve them. Do they have anything that needs to be shared? Can I write a book review for them? Can I, give a review on their podcast? Right? So serve first. Number three, the third pillar is a simple and a repeatable system. This is key. What is going to take you out of the game quicker than quick is when you start complicating things. If you're not already feeling overcomplicated already, simple is key. Simple is going to keep you focused when you start going off the rails, right? And look, we all will. We are entrepreneurs, which means we have a lot of ideas. Any of you have a lot of ideas, like more than two? Yeah, right. Any of you are like, oh my gosh, but I could do this thing. And then you stop working on the first thing and you start the second thing or the third thing or the 10th thing, right? And all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, I don't know what I should be focusing on. Yep. Simple is key. So we want to have a simple offer suite, and I help you create that. And we want to have a simple and repeatable strategy that becomes our revenue roadmap. When we have a simple revenue roadmap, focusing on 3 things, not 50, it becomes the way that you share your message, the way that you serve your clients, the way that you build your audience, and it allows you to create income and impact that actually creates a really, really great revenue inside of your business. But if we overcomplicate it, every time we create something new, we actually start back at square one. Every time we create a new offer, we're starting with a new ideal client. Every single time. Okay, so we want to keep it simple, a simple, repeatable system. The fourth is the nurture method, and this is for heart-centered marketing and soulful sales. So we talked earlier that marketing was simply sharing your message, helping the people that are yeses to self-identify, right? And you guys are probably going to hear the word relationships come up probably about 500,000 times over the next couple days, which is good because repetition is what we need. It's how we learn, right? But the way that we do this in our nurture method is we cultivate a highly engaged community and we make people our priority. I love, 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 love Facebook groups. Regardless of whether you like Facebook in general or Meta or whatever or not, one of the things that we know is that the 2 places that people hang out the most are on YouTube and Facebook. There are 3 billion people, 3 billion with a B on Facebook. I guarantee your ideal client is there. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. There are more people in Facebook and on YouTube than all of the other social media platforms put together. Okay. And the cool thing about building a community is that you can do that for free in a Facebook group. You don't need to pay for another platform, and it allows you to cultivate and build know, like, trust very, very easy with a container of people that want to learn from you, right? How cool is that? You're going to have your own community with people that are like, yes, I want to hear from Nadia. I want to hear from Andy. I want to learn, like, what's Nicole coming up with this week, right? So building community, cultivating a highly engaged community where we get to make people our priority is going to be creating actually what we like to call is like an internal it's an internal buyers list. It's where people are going to come and they are going to ultimately at some time become yes clients for you. Okay. And you get to do that without having to do those 1 hour discovery sessions or those wonky sales calls where you're trying to convince or persuade somebody. When we actually have a relationship with somebody first and they're clear that they want to learn more about how they could work with you, so they're booking the call, you are absolutely not going to be in the place of how do I close the deal? You're going to be in the place of how can I share information and help this person make a decision that is going to be in her best interest so that they get the result that they want. Okay. That's soulful. That's authentic. That's in service. And people feel that. Okay. And then the last one is inspired and empowered action. This is where implementation happens. If we don't implement, nothing happens, right? We talked about that a little bit earlier. Without action, nothing changes, right? We cannot just watch a video on how to ride a bike. We actually have to get on the bike and pedal, right? We have to learn how to balance. We have to learn how to, steer, right? So empowered and inspired action comes from an abundant mindset. So it's almost like the circle. Now we're back up to the abundant mindset here, right? Inspired and empowered action means that what is inspiring, what feels fun for us, right? What feels empowering to us so that we can show up and give value to people in a way that feels really, really good to us. I love to teach, obviously. I wouldn't be doing a live here and, a master class or a workshop. And I've been doing these, by the way, since 2018, and I love them. And it's fun for me because I get to give, I get to serve, I get to create wins. People get so much more value. They tell me that they get more value than, the programs that they've paid for. They've like, I can't believe you're giving all of this for free. Yeah, it's fun. And it takes the pressure off my shoulders of needing to convince or persuade or drag anybody across the finish line. So I really love this. So day 2, we're actually going to dive into aligning with the 6-figure CEO that you already are. Okay. We're going to start diving into the abundant mindset. We're going to circle back around to step one in the soulful abundance system, which is alignment, right? Which is how do we stay in the abundant energy? How do we claim that we are already a six-figure entrepreneur and stay in that energy, right? Because if we are, how do I say this? Has everybody heard about the be, do, have model? Yeah, some of you have, some of you haven't. Okay. So the way that the world has taught us to see things is that it comes from a have, do, be something, which means that once I have the house, right, then I can do, or once I have the money, then I can do the thing and then I'll be happy, right? You guys might even be in there now, right? Once I have the successful business, then I'll be able to invest in my business and then I'll actually be and feel successful, right? That's actually not the way that it really works. The way that it really works is we have to first feel and be and claim that we are already a six-figure entrepreneur even before it happens. Why? Because if we show up as somebody who's in scarcity, we can only create more scarcity. But if we show up as and we start thinking about, gosh, well, what would a six-figure business owner do today? What would she think? What would the steps be? How would she feel? How would she dress? What would she think? Right? If we do that, our being comes first. And when we are in that energy of being and we're feeling confident, we're feeling empowered, guess what happens with the actions that we take, the doing? The actions become more successful. And so the having comes be, do, have, right? So again, we are taught that unless we see it, it doesn't matter, right? And I'm telling you that the way that we create abundance in our business and in our life is by first being in the energy that we want to ultimately have. Because then we act as if, and then it happens. And I know that's true because when I was first trying to build and grow my business to six figures, one of the things that I did, this was a little ninja tip that I did, is I put on my phone a little reminder. It went off every single morning and it said, whatever the month it was, January is a 10K month. And then it was February is a 10K month. And then March is a 10K month. And by the time I got to July, guess what happened? I had a 10K month. I actually crossed six figures in 6 months because I was like, nope, this is it. Like I'm doing it. Like I am a six-figure entrepreneur. I get to do this and this is my energy. And what would somebody else do? How could I do this from this place of empowerment? Okay. If we stay in the energy of this is hard, or I can't do this, or I'm confused, or this isn't working, that will only create more problems. It will not create solutions. Okay. So we get to be solution focused, even if things don't feel like they're working, right? We can actually lean in and say, okay, like this didn't work this time. Okay. How can I leverage this to create an opportunity here? Right? That is somebody who feels confident, right? That is a owner and an entrepreneur that says, all right, I might not know exactly how right now, but I am confident enough that I will lean into the process and I will take action so that I actually get the results. Okay, so we're going to dive into that tomorrow. All right. So if you joined late and you did not pop anything in the chat today, please pop in the chat where you're from or something, because that is the way that we are knowing who is actually here live to get the freebies that we're giving out. Yeah, and we will make sure that we send out to you guys the freebie. We're going to pop it to your email. My assistant, Jenny, is actually going to be keeping track of everybody's comments, and she's going to make sure that we send that to you directly to your email. Yeah. Oh, Shailene, thank you so much. It's my pleasure. Absolutely. So I hope that you guys will come back tomorrow because this was just basically an overview. I know it might have felt like I was feeding you from a fire hose, right? Like, oh my God, this is a lot of information. I promise I'm going to break it down so that it's more digestible. And we're going to be focusing on the 6-step system, which is the soulful abundance system. Tomorrow is Align. Then we're going to go into design. We're going to talk about your offer suite and how you can create a high-end offer. Then we're going to go into how are you attracting, nurturing, and inviting people. Yes. Oh, good. I'm glad, Lisa. I'm glad it was wonderful. Yeah. So again, today was an overview. It was a lot of information. I'm going to break it down into smaller pieces so that you know exactly what it is that you can do and have practical steps that you can take to start creating momentum and traction in your business, even before the training is over. Yes, Trina, we always have replays. You know that. You've been in probably 10 of these, and there has not been one that we have not given you a replay. So, yeah, promise. As a matter of fact, we will be sending you guys out a replay page, which is a separate web page. And we will also be popping this inside of our Facebook group in the guide section. So, we're going to have multiple places that you guys can access the replays. Now, the replays are free, but they are only going to be up for a very limited time. Okay, so they are going to be coming down after about 2 weeks. So feel free to dive in, come back to any of them. We will leave them up for about 2 weeks so that you've got plenty of time to watch them. And if you have not yet booked your audit, your growth audit with me, I want you to do that today because I have very limited ones left. Okay. And again, this is not a sales pitch. This is for me to hear where are you in your business? What are you doing? What do you want? What's working? What's not working? And I will also guide you to the days that I think are going to be the most impactful for you in your business. If you can't make all of them, no worries. Or if there's a specific, replay or something, or if there's even another resource that I know that's going to help you, I will grab that for you too. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. It was such my pleasure to be here and to serve you. And I cannot wait to hear from you guys, like what your ahas and what your takeaways were. If you're inside of the Facebook group, I'd love to give you a little tiny homework assignment, just a little to do. And what this actually does is it locks in the information for you. If you would post inside of the Facebook group, what's one golden nugget that you took away from today? Just one, right? You don't need to come up with 10, but what's one thing that you're taking away today that you're like, oh, I never thought about that before. I've never heard that before. That feels so good to me. And that will let me know kind of what's resonating with you guys. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.